Hello, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Please subscribe my channel and like for latest news. Today, we are diving into a shocking and fast developing story coming out of Belarus, a story that could change the entire balance of power in Eastern Europe. Reports are coming in that the Belarusian army, once seen as fiercely loyal to President Alexander Lukashenko, may now be turning against him. For decades, Lukashenko has ruled Belarus with an iron fist, maintaining absolute control through a powerful security apparatus and close ties with Moscow. But something extraordinary seems to be happening right now. The cracks inside the regime are widening, and what was once considered unthinkable is now unfolding before our eyes. In recent days, multiple intelligence sources and local media outlets have reported increasing signs of unrest within Belarus's military command. Several senior officers have reportedly refused orders to suppress protests or assist Russian operations. Soldiers in key units stationed near Minsk and Grodno are said to have abandoned their posts or openly voiced opposition to Lukashenko's leadership. What began as scattered rumors of discontent has now evolved into what some analysts describe as a full-scale internal fracture. For years, the Belarusian army has been kept under strict surveillance, with loyalty tests and political indoctrination ensuring that no dissent could take root. Yet this time, it appears that even within the ranks of the armed forces, frustration has reached a boiling point. The immediate trigger seems to be Lukashenko's growing dependence on Moscow and his recent decision to allow more Russian troops and nuclear weapons to remain on Belarusian soil. Many Belarusian officers see this as the final betrayal, turning their homeland into nothing more than a satellite state for the Kremlin. Combined with years of economic stagnation, international isolation, and harsh repression of civil society, resentment toward Lukashenko has been quietly building. Now, as the Ukrainian war drags on and Russia's own stability is tested, Belarus finds itself in an extremely fragile position. Over the past 48 hours, videos have surfaced on social media showing Belarusian military convoys moving toward Minsk, not under government command, but reportedly under orders from rebel officers. Unconfirmed reports claim that elements of the 120th Guards Mechanized Brigade, traditionally one of the most reliable units, have defected and declared allegiance to an opposition council calling for national liberation from Lukashenko's rule. If true, this marks an extraordinary development, the first time in modern Belarusian history that organized military resistance has challenged the sitting government. Meanwhile, Lukashenko himself has reportedly taken refuge inside the heavily fortified Drozhdy presidential residence, surrounded by his personal security force and elite riot police units. State television continues to project an image of calm, denying all reports of mutiny and insisting that the president maintains full control. But behind closed doors, sources say the regime is in panic mode. High-level emergency meetings with Russian advisors have been taking place, and Moscow has already dispatched intelligence officers to assess the situation. Putin's government cannot afford to lose Belarus, not only because it is a vital strategic buffer against NATO, but also because Lukashenko's downfall could inspire unrest in Russia itself. As of now, communications across parts of Belarus are being disrupted. Internet access in Minsk and Brest has been intermittent, and independent journalists have reported that the government has started restricting entry and exit from the capital. In some areas, citizens have taken to the streets, not in massive numbers yet, but enough to signal that the public senses a moment of weakness in the regime. Some protesters have been waving historical white, red, white flags, symbols of the pre-Lukashenko era, while others shout slogans demanding new elections and the immediate withdrawal of Russian troops. Observers note that the current turmoil bears striking resemblance to the 2020 protests, but with one key difference. This time, the military is no longer united behind Lukashenko. That changes everything. In 2020, Lukashenko survived only because the security forces crushed dissent with brutal efficiency. If those same forces now hesitate or refuse to act, the regime's collapse could happen swiftly. Analysts from Western think tanks believe that a split in the army could trigger a rapid chain reaction, provincial governors abandoning orders, police switching sides, and foreign embassies recognizing an alternative authority. So, who actually controls Belarus right now? That's the question the world is asking. On one hand, Lukashenko's inner circle, including the KGB and internal troops, still hold the capital. On the other, a growing faction of defected officers claim to have taken over regional bases and communication centers. A group calling itself the Belarusian People's Defense Council released a statement earlier today claiming they now control several battalions and are negotiating with European mediators to prevent Russian intervention. The authenticity of their claims is still under investigation, but if confirmed, it means Belarus might be entering a new phase, an armed standoff between rival factions. Moscow's reaction so far has been cautious but firm. Kremlin spokespersons have condemned the unrest as a Western-backed attempt to destabilize Belarus, echoing familiar narratives used in past crises. However, intelligence leaks suggest that Putin's advisors are divided. Some urge immediate military support for Lukashenko, while others warn that direct Russian involvement could ignite a wider rebellion. After all, Russian soldiers stationed in Belarus are already demoralized, with reports of desertions and logistical failures. Sending reinforcements could backfire spectacularly. Western nations, meanwhile, are watching with a mix of hope and fear. For years, the European Union and the United States have condemned Lukashenko's authoritarian rule and supported Belarusian opposition leaders in exile. Yet, they are wary of a sudden collapse that could lead to chaos or provoke Russian intervention. Exiled opposition leader Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya has issued a statement from Vilnius, urging the Belarusian military to stand with the people and promising amnesty for those who reject the regime. She also called for international observers to oversee a peaceful transition of power. Whether the situation can remain peaceful is another matter, with both sides armed and mistrustful. The risk of civil conflict is dangerously high. As the crisis deepens, uncertainty hangs over Belarus like a storm cloud. Ordinary citizens are caught in the middle, unsure whom to trust or what comes next. Some are stocking up on food and fuel, fearing border closures or power cuts. Others express quiet optimism, believing that this moment could finally bring freedom after nearly 30 years of dictatorship. Yet, history reminds us that such transitions are rarely smooth. The question is not only whether Lukashenko will fall, but also what kind of Belarus will rise afterward, one that moves toward democracy and independence, or one that becomes even more entangled in Moscow's orbit. Experts say the next 72 hours will be critical. If the opposition, aligned officers, consolidate control, and the rank-hand file soldiers continue to defect, Lukashenko's options will shrink rapidly. He could attempt to flee the country, seek asylum in Russia, or double down with brutal repression. None of these outcomes would leave Belarus untouched. The world is watching, and the people of Belarus are standing at a crossroads in history. Whether they emerge free or fall deeper into crisis depends on what happens next and on who, at this very moment, truly holds the power. This situation is fluid, unpredictable, and potentially explosive. Updates are expected to come in fast, and we'll continue to follow every development as it unfolds. The fate of Belarus, and perhaps even the future of Eastern Europe, could hinge on these very moments. Please stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the latest breaking updates. This story is far from over, and the next chapter could redefine everything we thought we knew about power, loyalty, and resistance in the heart of Europe.